Excellencies, distinguished delegates, youth participants. I now invite Mr. Rakoen Maertens, NGO delegate to the United Nations at the World Esperanto Youth Organization, to deliver a keynote statement. Mr. Maertens, you have the floor.
Thank you. Madam President of the Economic and Social Council, Mr. Secretary General of the United Nations, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, and my youth friends. A few weeks ago, I was walking through the old streets of Cambridge. It was promising to be a good and productive day. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. But then I heard people shouting. I couldn't make up if it was fear, anger, enthusiasm, or something else. I couldn't suppress my curiosity, so I moved towards the noise. And then, when I came closer to the market square, I saw a large crowd of young people united. First I asked, why are they here? What are they doing here? But then I realized, of course, the climate strikes. They were marching for climate. Thinking about joining them, I actually just continued to walk towards my office, rationalizing my behavior. In fact, we are doing some interesting works in the Cambridge Social Decision-Making Lab. We are working on a psychological vaccine against fake news. We are trying to prevent influence from misinformation on climate change. Yet, working on this exciting project, I couldn't resist the hunch to go out there and join the protest. So that's what I did. I went outside and waved at my climate science papers. So there I was. And then I noticed that I wasn't the only one thinking like that. Around me were people that I know to have a very different political opinion than I do, that have a very different idea of the world, and that I didn't expect to be there, but yet they were there. We were united, the united youth. It didn't matter which political affiliation. We had our planet, our community, and our world that we fought for together. Now, let me switch to a different kind of story. At some point, I went to South Korea, walking through the streets of Seoul this time. A completely different world, a beautiful one, but different. I tried to adapt to this different new culture. At one point, I had to meet a group of local people, and I didn't really know what the custom was to greet them. You know that feeling, right? So I gave them a hug. Well, that was not the best approach. Seems like there are some cultural differences in the meaning of a hug, which was interesting. So I learned and tried to adapt. I wanted to understand them. And it is our youthful will to understand each other that brought us closer together afterwards. And working together in these youth platforms and those youth projects, our common goals that actually aligned us. And those small cultural differences became beautiful. And at the same time, we recognized our common agenda and common goals. A week later, I went to Togo, another different world, also beautiful. But again, I had to learn. I don't know if you've ever traveled from Belgium to South Korea and then to Togo. It is very different, but interesting. And I tried again to understand the people locally. And I noticed that some things were universal. For example, I saw a group of children walking down the street, singing, happy, and clapping their hands. I tried to join in. I wanted to express my happiness. I wanted to show how much I appreciated that small moment of joy. And I clapped my hands. And suddenly we were there together, clapping our hands in rhythm, having fun, singing, dancing. Great moments, small moment of human kindness, but that connected us. And again, a few days later, we were fighting for the same goals and appreciated our small differences. So these were stories of intercultural understanding and communication that led us beyond those first small barriers to real common understanding and common power to fight for our common goals. Now, let's move to this room here, the ECOSOC Youth Forum. We are here with a very diverse group of people. In fact, I've been around here for some time now, and I've met many of you, and I know that many of you have an entirely different opinion about the world and different approaches. It is actually this heterodoxy and opinions that makes us so strong, that makes us so unique in tackling global problems. And if we look at our agenda, our global agenda, the work we've done here, we've realized much. and we can know and realize and feel how united we are on this agenda. Now, this ECOSOC Youth Forum doesn't end here. It's not a 2-day forum. No, it goes on tomorrow, next month, next year. We are here. If you go back tomorrow to your home country or here in New York, it is not the end. It just starts. We have to implement those changes, unite in the networks we created, and be sure that we are represented everywhere. We moved the ECOSOC Youth Forum closer to the HLPF and the SDG Summit. So we better make use of those high-level places we can actually raise our voice. Now, unite yourself in youth organizations and youth networks, regional, local, and global. If your country does not have a youth delegate program yet, try to create one. Work together with the ministers to establish one. If your youth council does not have an SDGs committee yet, make sure there is one. Act and fight. Proactively create your seats at the negotiation table. And we, as the United Youth, can fight together. Then, Your Excellencies, the world is changing at a fast pace. An enormous rate of new problems arise, and we have to solve them with new solutions. Many of the old ones didn't work. We have to be able to think with novel concepts, such as a circular economy, behavioral insights, and many other things, such as new technologies. The youth can help you enact those changes, but it is not you that has to work for the youth, or we that need you, or you that need us. It's our planet, our common goals, the global agenda that we share, that we fight for. So it's important to make sure that we implement this youth strategy and have empowered youth that is educated around the negotiation table as equals. Now let me finish with one of my favorite quotes, and it also captures the essence of my story here. It's a quote from Lilla Watson, an indigenous Australian. Quote open, "If you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together." Thank you.
I thank Mr. Maertens for his call to action statement. Be united in the networks you have created here in ECOSOC.